I am here with Shaun Savage, founder and CEO of GoShare. They're a company that helps businesses efficiently deliver big and bulky goods. How are you doing today, Shaun?
I'm good. Thanks, Eric. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to have a San Diego founder and CEO on the show today. I don't get as many as I'd like, so it's going to be really fun talking about somebody who's been in the startup ecosystem with me for many years. We're going to talk about your rise to fame, but I'd love to just kind of kick it off and learn a bit about you and your journey and ultimately what made you found the company.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. I appreciate you helping to tell our story. And yeah, the journey, it started a long time ago, I guess, but um, there was a couple of, I guess, pivotal moments in my life that kind of led me ultimately to start GoShare. I would say one of the first ones that I can think of is, back when I was in college at the University of Delaware, I ran a house painting business for a year. And we were just painting houses in New Jersey. I hired a couple of buddies mostly and younger guys to join me. We maybe had about 7 or 8 people on the team, and one of the biggest challenges that I had at the time was getting paint and other materials delivered to job sites.
Hmm.
And so it ended up being me almost every day, 6 o'clock in the morning, getting up, going to Sherwin-Williams, getting paint mixed, and then delivering it to various job sites around New Jersey. And um, if we needed more supplies, more paint, or more equipment, it was usually me that would have to leave the job site, go get that supply
Hmm.
refilled. And whenever I would do that, our team was significantly less productive than they were when I was on the site. And
Yeah.
I remember wishing at the time that Sherwin Williams would deliver paint to us, so we didn't have to send somebody back to the store. And kind of a cool story, but now we deliver paint for Sherwin-Williams across the country. So it's kind of all
So
came
they
full
still don't
circle.
want to
But
do it.
well,
Yeah.
I think they want to offer it, but no, they don't want to do it themselves. Although
Yeah.
that's not necessarily fair because they do some deliveries themselves. They
Mhm.
have their own small fleet of vans that they use, but GoShare essentially supplements and their fleet, especially during the peak season. During the summer and springtime when they might not have enough capacity to do all the deliveries on their own.
Hmm. Interesting. So that's actually the first lesson that I want to share with our audience here. Something that comes up this problem into a very successful business, but too many startup founders that I've worked with over the years um, feel the need to kind of pitch in and do the grunt work, right? Because they want to, they want to help out their team. They want to make their team more comfortable or sort of get them out of the way of having to do the grunt work, and so they end up stepping down into that kind of low level role in order to kind of keep things going. But it's really an inefficient use of the founder's time. Um, and I see it happen all the time. So the first kind of lesson that I would talk about is founders need to think about the value of the work that they're doing, and are they stepping up in value or stepping down in value. So
Hmm.
when you think about the shit rolling downhill, so to speak, if there's nobody to do a task, if there's nobody in your company who can do a role, and that work is falling into your lap because there's nobody else to take it, that's a signal that this is low value work that needs to be delegated or hired for. What you want is that work to be escalated to you, right? Teams doing something, they're working hard, but they can't figure something out. It has to be escalated. It has to be lifted up to your level. And that's sort of just one, you know, paradigm or mindset shift that I do a lot with my clients, is thinking about the value of the work, and is it falling in your lap or is it being escalated? If it's falling in your lap, that's a ripe target for us to try to delegate or automate, or I guess start an entire company to to fix that problem.
Yeah, it's a good point. And honestly, through the years, I've caught myself falling into that trap, quite a
Hmm.
few times. It's I think kind of natural, and also I think a lot of founders just want to they want to help in any way they can. And so if they
Hmm.
see a task that is not getting done or not getting done fast enough, they'll step in and maybe do that lower level task, even if
Hmm.
it's not the best use of their time. And I have to make a conscious effort sometimes to say, okay, this needs to be delegated. And even recently, some of our board members told me, like, you should be delegating almost everything that you
Hmm.
can to someone else on the team. And yeah, if there's no one on the team that could do it, and it's a recurring need, then yes, that's usually a good sign that you need to fill that role and hire someone for it. But yeah, I think a lot of founders probably do get caught up in those kind of low value tasks, either out of necessity or just out of like a desire to move fast and just get things done as quickly as possible. And
Yeah.
it is a good reminder that delegating is one of the most important roles that a CEO has in a company.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's one of these things, right? There's of course some nuance here. And I'm sure some of our listeners would argue that, nothing or CEO shouldn't be above doing any work to keep the company moving. But if you're seeing any kind of a pattern, um, something that keeps recurring, well, that's obviously an opportunity to hire or fill that role. And also too is that if as a CEO I'm stepping down and doing some lower value work, I'm modeling that behavior, right? I'm doing it because I'm trying to coach or train somebody or create some kind of playbook so that I can then delegate. And as the company scales and grows, there's always new frontiers of chaotic work that has to be done. But as leaders, we should be constantly thinking about, all right, if I have to step down into this role, I'm going to do it once and for all, right? And I'm doing it for the purpose of creating a playbook that can be delegated out. But sorry for a little tangent there, but I always love kind of taking these little principles and making it a teaching moment. But so
Yeah,
you
it's a
you
good
found
point.
this opportunity and you started this business, but there's a large sort of marketplace or tech platform here as well, right?
Yeah, there is. And, we built, um, we started by building mobile apps. That was kind of like our first kind of foray into this, back in 2015. We wanted to build an app that made it really simple for, a truck or a van owner to connect directly with either a business or a person that needed
Hmm.
a truck or a van, whether it was delivering something from a store or whether it was moving to a new apartment. We just wanted to make the process like really simple and easy. And so after a couple of years of serving tens of thousands of customers and getting some traction from the marketplace, we kind of started understanding from talking to our business customers, mainly large retailers, that there was a really big opportunity for us in the retail space because
Hmm.
most of these large retailers were outsourcing their deliveries to third parties, but these third parties weren't technology companies like GoShare. They were essentially small mom and pop type of delivery businesses, or they maybe had one van or one truck or two trucks, and they were trying to do as many deliveries as they can in a very small geographic area, and that led to really bad experiences for
Hmm.
the customers of those retailers. So the delivery windows were 1 to 2 weeks, and you had to sit at home for 8 hours and wait for someone to show up, and a lot of it was done either via phone call or email or some old fashioned model of scheduling, and there wasn't a lot of accountability. And so if a delivery was late or damaged or anything like that, there wasn't really anyone to talk to about it. And so I think GoShare kind of recognized that there was a really big opportunity here to offer this kind of last mile delivery solution to large enterprise retailers who have a national footprint, so that they can offer their customers a better overall experience, lower cost, more convenience, um, and that's kind of where we've been focused on
Hmm.
for the last couple of years. So, in addition to building out the mobile apps and the website to make this possible, we also released our API about 2 years ago that allows our customers to integrate GoShare directly into their either point of sale system or transportation management system to make
Hmm.
the process even more seamless for the business user. So instead of having to go to our app or our website, they can do it they can order GoShare from within their own system. And this is especially important for like the high volume shippers that maybe need to use GoShare hundreds of times per day or per week.
Now, are you still doing the peer-to-peer connection, or do you have your own fleet now that you're providing to these enterprises?
It's still like a peer-to-peer model. So
Yeah.
GoShare is an asset light business. So we don't own any of the trucks or vans or any of the equipment. The delivery professionals that we contract with essentially operate as their own independent businesses,
Mm-hmm.
and we simply provide them the tools and the customers essentially and the customer support to make it easier for them to run their own delivery business.
Hmm. So how did you solve that problem of, if you have trucks on your platform that want to offer services to a big retailer, how do you control for that? Like you said, the long windows or the lack of service. I mean, is that somehow built into the platform?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, we use technology like artificial intelligence and machine learning to make the process very efficient for everybody. So
Mm.
instead of having to call someone or wait, have someone schedule a 8-hour time window for you, a week or two out, you simply tell us when you want the item delivered, and we're able to deliver it at that time. And so
Oh, so you can look across like all these different available uh, service providers and see who can provide that service. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So part of the technology that we built is about the matching process, right? So it's
Hmm.
about customer says, "Hey, I need to have uh, a couch, delivered in Los Angeles today at 3 o'clock." Our system is able to pinpoint which of the 25,000 plus contractors in our system would be a good fit for that role based on their location, based on their equipment, their availability, things like that. We send them the basically the request from the customer. It says, "Hey, we have a customer near you that has a delivery, and are you able to do it? Yes or no?" And the drivers have the ability to essentially accept or reject any request that we send them. But because the matching technology is really good, we usually end up finding a match within a minute.
Yeah.
And so
So
then the customer,
is it
go
an
ahead.
Uber model? Is that a good analogy, or is it different?
It's a fair analogy. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a very similar business model to Uber or Lyft, in that we're connecting the driver to the customer directly and seamlessly, and yeah, the drivers are independent contractors or small business owners.
Hmm.
They provide their own equipment, their own vehicles, and they have the ability to work when they want. They can they can accept any or reject any request that comes in, and if they want to take a vacation, they want to take a couple days off, they don't need to call us or let us know. They just turn their app off, and we won't bother them. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've been able to attract a very broad audience of what we call delivery professionals, is because we give them the flexibility to work when they want and get paid quickly, without having to use a factoring company, which is pretty common in the
Hmm.
trucking space. And um, we provide them with all the tools that they need to essentially get the job done without having to really think about too much else other than getting the object from point A to point B.
Hmm. Yeah. Oh, that's really cool. I always love when, anything that helps the little guy, right? So somebody they
Hmm.
now don't have to worry about marketing and, all that trying to get customers. They can just hop on your platform and get the deal. That's great.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, they don't have to worry about marketing. They don't have to worry about collecting cash or payments.
Hmm.
That was a big sticking point. I mean, imagine how awkward it is, when you provide a service for somebody, and then at the end you're like, okay, like how about the money? And then they try to negotiate with you, or they're like,
Yeah.
oh, I don't have any cash on me, I got to go to the bank or this and that. And I mean, that was actually a big problem, I think, for a lot of these delivery professionals historically, because before GoShare, they were getting their work either using something like Craigslist, or maybe
Hmm.
they were even like sitting at a Home Depot or a Lowe's, like waiting for someone to kind of come out and need their services. And so I think we've been able to kind of organize the chaos and provide them with, the marketing support, the payment support, also the customer service. So if anything goes wrong, the driver and the customer both have GoShare's customer support team to count on to help resolve, any disputes that kind of pop up along the way. So I think for all of those reasons, I think the drivers really appreciate, the services that GoShare and our app are able to provide them.
Yeah, oh, that's incredible. So you mentioned the chaos. I'm interested. What were some of your growing pains or the things that you were struggling as you were growing up?
Wow, there was plenty of growing pains along the way. How much time do you have? So, so I would say
You
like,
can always edit it down. So.
yeah, I would say like in the earliest days, the growing pains, I think a lot of it was related to trust and lack thereof.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, for example, I remember, one of the first customers that like ever used our app to order without, like, we didn't know this person. It was just a totally random person. They found the app, they placed an order, and we delivered, a mattress for them. And I remember calling the lady and just to say thank you, like, hey, saw you place an order. I saw the driver's on the way. Thank you so much. Like, how'd you hear about us? Just asking some general questions. And her reaction was really eye-opening for me. She was like, oh, I'm so happy that you called. And I was like, oh, why is that? And she said, well, because your driver just came and picked up the mattress, and I honestly thought there was like at least a 50% chance that I was never going to see that mattress again. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like, why would you not see it again? And she's like, well, I don't know what GoShare is. I don't know who you are. There's no reviews about you online. You're a brand new company. We literally just launched like that week. And she's like, the only reason I used it is because it's late at night and nobody else is open. And so like, you're the only ones that would do it for me. But I was really concerned that this person was going to potentially steal my mattress. And I remember at the time it was like, wow, like I know that we're trustworthy and we're not going to do anything like that, but no one else knows that. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd say like one of the early growing pains for a marketplace is trust, is establishing, that you're a reputable company and you can't just buy that, right? You have to earn it over time, and it doesn't happen overnight. It takes, several customers using it and writing a good review or telling their friends or whatever it is before you develop that reputation where people can trust you without, questioning whether or not you're going to deliver what you promise. And so I would say like that was definitely one of the early growing pains. And then I think the growing pains kind of evolve as the company matures. And at different stages of the company, there's different growing pains. Like, you in the early days, you also need funding, right? Like you need money from investors, and that's not always easy to come by, especially if you're a first time founder. Again, you don't really have a reputation. No one knows if you're going to do well or not, and so you have to convince investors to give you money, sometimes millions of dollars. And I think that's definitely a challenge that a lot of startups face, and I think that's probably amplified today because the market today for venture capital is quite different than it was when we started 8 years ago. It's probably a little bit harder to get funding, I would think, today than it was a couple of years ago. And then
well,
go ahead.
let's pause there for a moment, because I think that's a really great theme here around trust building, both with customers, with the market, and with investors as well. So what would be your sort of principles or lessons learned or things that you would impart, or even what you've systematized into your culture? First off, focusing on how do we build trust and reputation in the market.
I would say like probably the core principle that I've always tried to follow, and I learned this when I had my house painting business when I was in college, is you can never overpromise and underdeliver. It's one of the biggest mistakes that you can make, and I think that's true if you're for customers, for investors, for anyone else. If you are making promises that you can't achieve, you're setting yourself up for failure. Like there's no way to overcome that. And so that was one of the lessons I think that I tried to instill upon everyone in the company and practice myself, is that, we're not going to make a promise to somebody that we know we can't keep. And I think if you start off with that kind of basic principle, you're setting yourself up for success and trust building over time.
Yeah, because then if you meet it, you're great. If you exceed it, now you've delighted them, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But if you fail to hit that, then you've already lost that customer. You've lost trust. You've kind of broken the relationship a little bit. And so
Yeah.
I think that's probably one of the most important things that companies can do. And then the other thing, which is a little bit more, I guess, tactical, is I think online reviews are very important. Whether you're a consumer or whether you're a business searching for a product or service, I think today most people, and you could probably vouch for this yourself as a person and someone who consumes things, whether it's a restaurant or a new iPhone or a service like a delivery service, a moving service, it doesn't matter. Before you book or buy, you're probably going to read some reviews about the company or the product before you do it. And so we found that it's really important to collect online reviews from customers who've had a good experience, to help build up your online reputation. And then reputation management as an ongoing strategy is really important too. So, and today, like, GoShare has a very good reputation online. Like if you look at the App Store, our iPhone app has over 10,000 5-star reviews. And so for any new person looking at that, they're like, okay, this is a reputable company. Like lots of people have vouched for them, but we didn't have that in the early days. We had no reviews, and so we had to make an effort to collect them over time and make sure that we were getting feedback from our customers. And each time you get a new review, a new testimonial, it helps you get the next customer.
Absolutely. So what do you do in the cases where, whether by accident or oversight, you do make a mistake, you do under deliver or screw up somehow? How do you control for that?
You apologize quickly and emphatically, I think is what Dale Carnegie says. Because of course we make mistakes. I mean, we're not always perfect. And so, when you make a mistake, you just you own up to it. You say, we're sorry, we made a mistake. We'd like to make it up for you. Sometimes we'll offer them a discount, on a future delivery or the one that was messed up, depending on what the circumstances were. But I could think of one example where during COVID, a customer, I think he was up in the Bay Area, called, and this was on one of those days where I was taking customer service calls, because every couple of months I like to do that just to kind of stay sharp and see what customers are saying. So I was like taking customer service calls, and a guy called and he was irate. I think he was very mad that the driver at the time wasn't wearing a mask, and this was like kind of during 2020 COVID period, when generally we were advising drivers to wear a mask whenever they were doing a delivery and were in contact with people. And the guy called, he was screaming at me. He was like, I can't believe your driver wasn't wearing a mask. What if I get COVID? What if my wife gets COVID? What if my kid gets COVID? And he was understandably angry. And I think after letting him scream at me for 5 or 10 minutes, I said, so, what do you want? Like, what can we do to make this right? He's like, I want a 20% discount, or, I can't remember what the number was. He's like, I want a discount on this order. I said, okay, no problem. Gave him the discount. And he was like, okay, thank you. I'm satisfied. And he was happy. And that was it, and so, like, I mean, maybe it doesn't always end up with such a, seamless resolution, but in this particular case, he was mad. He had a legitimate reason to be mad. We gave him a discount and he was happy again. And he was a repeat customer after that.
Yeah. So that's great. So that actually brings up 2 points that I've gone through a lot in my career. One is the value of customer service and of making things right. So I found a study, this was many years ago, so I can't remember all the numbers exactly, but there was a study that they did on Yelp reviews where they scraped all of the sentiment from all the Yelp reviews. And what they found was maybe the majority or a very significant number of 5-star reviews happen when there was a mistake, when there was a problem with the orders, like restaurants, when there was a problem with the order and customer service came and made it right. They comped something, gave them a free dessert, whatever it is. And they would rave about, they said, and they would talk through the whole story. I went and they did this and they messed this up, but then they were
Mm-hmm.
so kind and they were so generous, amazing, 5 stars. And the majority of 4-star reviews is just when everything went off without a hitch. So when everything's perfectly fine, if you're having a great meal and everything just kind of happens, you actually only get 4 stars.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because you don't need somebody to come in and just really help, fix things and help make you feel good. That happens when there's a problem, and that bump people up to 5 stars. So I did in my companies, I would always say we have to make customer service the highest priority in the company, meaning we're not going to outsource it.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to script it. It really is, white glove service. And so then what I do, I'm a product and engineering leader. So I'm kind of like back of the house. I would do the same thing you did and have everybody on my team do a rotation on customer service once a month, once a quarter, whatever it is. And really let them, feel the pain that customers are dealing with, but then also feel that empathy for, hey, these people are why we're doing this. We get up every day and we write code for them and to help them. So it really helped create a customer-centric mindset, especially in engineering, where they tend to be really disconnected from customers and like don't really understand why are we doing this or who are we doing it for. There's no nuance to anything. This was kind of like one, hack that created a whole lot more customer focus in product and engineering teams. So I love to hear you doing the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I would just take it one step further. Customer service has always kind of been at the forefront of GoShare's philosophy of how we could be better than our competitors. Mm-hmm. So there's quite a few things that we've done throughout the years to make sure that remains true. And one of them, for example, one of the philosophies of customer service that I really like a lot is I guess you'd call it the Be Our Guest model. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but it's basically Disney's customer service philosophy, and they wrote a great book about it called Be Our Guest. And so we've given copies of that to our team so that they can read about Disney's customer service philosophies, because they are one of the best in the world at customer service, and so we try to learn a lot from them. Another thing that I've done that I found to be really helpful, I think for me and also for our team, is I interview personally, usually once a month, one of our drivers and one of our customers for like a video, not like a podcast, but more just like a YouTube video. And a couple of the key themes that come up, when I talk to our drivers, is that our drivers feel like we have the best customer service in the industry. And it's because we're easy to get a hold of. We pick up the phone, whether it's, you're calling us or we're calling you. We have a couple of different channels that you can reach us by. So phone call, we have live chat on the website and in the app, social media, of course. And we respond to people quickly, and we try to solve problems as quickly as we possibly can, because if you don't, it's a 1-star review. And like you said, if you do, it's a 5-star review. There's a huge difference between focusing on customer service and building up your reputation. And there's a direct correlation between providing good service and getting better reviews and building up your reputation online. And so if you go and look at any of these videos, whether they're from one of our drivers talking about GoShare or one of our customers, a common theme in all of them is customer service. Like and most of them will call out specific members of our team that they've dealt with on either one time or on a regular basis. And they're like, yeah, I have a great experience with Brandy. Brandy's one of our customer service reps who always gets really great feedback from everybody. And she gets called out by name a lot. So I'm going to call her out myself because she's just done a great job, and people remember her for that. And they really appreciate it. And, it goes a long way for getting people who, like you said, maybe they had a bad experience for whatever reason, because things don't always go perfectly. And if you could take that bad experience and turn it into a positive one, you're gonna get that 5-star review.